There once was a man at the edge of two worlds, the untamed frontier of cryptocurrency, and the very real stakes of human trust. The young founder, just 30 years old, risen to the top of the digital gold rush, and the only person with a key to hundreds of millions in Bitcoin. But then he died, far from home, and the fortune he controlled vanished with him. This is the story of the Crypto King, and the man who took $250 million to the grave, and left the rest of the world asking, where did it go? Gerald William Cotton was born and raised in Ontario, Canada. A business student who saw in cryptocurrency not just money, but a vision for the future. In a world where digital currency was still a whisper, he became one of its early believers.
I come from a background where I've dealt with digital currencies in the past, so I know the challenges that Bitcoin exchanges and any sort of digital currency faces.
A quiet evangelist in a loud, uncertain frontier. After graduating from the Schulich School of Business in Toronto, Cotton co-founded a small crypto exchange called Quadriga in 2013. At first it was humble, just a few friends trading Bitcoin and Ethereum between themselves. But it grew, and by the end of the decade, it had become Canada's largest crypto exchange.
We've gone from 0 market share to now 80% market share, as most of our competitors have fizzled out.
Cotton didn't build a sprawling empire with walls and offices. Most of the work happened on his laptop, behind screens flickering with code and password fields, all controlled by one man and one set of keys. In the early days of cryptocurrency, trust was rare and guidance was scarce. Bitcoin was volatile, exchanges were risky, and for many Canadians, there was no easy way in. That's where Quadriga came in. What started as a small online exchange quietly grew into something massive.
Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or trade Bitcoins, Quadriga CX is right for you.
One of the first major gateways for Canadians to buy and sell cryptocurrency. As Bitcoin surged, so did Quadriga. New users arrived by the thousands. Money flowed in faster than it could be tracked. And at the center of it all was Gerald Cotton. Young, confident, and seemingly in control, handling hundreds of millions of dollars in customer funds. To the outside world, it looked like success. A tech founder, riding the wave at exactly the right moment. But behind the scenes, the entire operation rested on something fragile. It had no massive headquarters, executives, or safeguards built for failure. Just a man managing one of the largest pools of cryptocurrency in the country. And no one was asking the question, what would happen if that man was suddenly gone? As Quadriga grew, there was one detail hiding in plain sight. Gerald Cotton wasn't just the founder. He wasn't just the CEO. He was the only person with access to the exchange's cold wallets, the offline storage where the majority of customer funds were held. Hundreds of millions in cryptocurrency was locked behind encryption that only Gerald controlled. To customers, this wasn't alarming. In the early days of crypto, trust was personal. People trusted founders, not systems. And Gerald never gave them a reason not to. However, inside the company, there were no contingency plans. They had no emergency access and no protocols for the unthinkable. Because no one imagined the unthinkable would happen. And yet, with a single point of failure, it was only a matter of time. In December of 2018, Gerald Cotton left Canada for India. It wasn't for business, it wasn't for crypto. He was there on his honeymoon. Just weeks earlier, Gerald had married the woman closest to him, someone he trusted enough to build a future with. Friends described him as private, but deeply committed to the people he cared about. This wasn't a man fleeing his life. It was a man stepping into a new one. While traveling through Jaipur, Gerald became ill. Days later, he was gone. The official cause was complications from Crohn's disease. an illness he had lived with for years. He was just 30 years old. There was no autopsy. His death certificate was issued overseas. His body was returned to Canada and laid to rest in a closed casket funeral.
One of Canada's biggest cryptocurrency exchanges died while he was on a trip to India.
And only after the shock began to settle did the second loss become clear. Gerald did not just take a trip. He had taken every password with him. At first, customers were told to be patient. Withdrawals were delayed, support tickets went unanswered, and explanations grew vague. And then the truth surfaced. Quadriga could not access its own funds. It was locked out by the death of the only man who knew the passwords. Hundreds of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency sat inside cold wallets no one could open. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, life savings, retirement money, and first investments, all suddenly unreachable. Panic spread quickly. Customers demanded answers and lawsuits followed. Quadriga went dark. What was once Canada's largest crypto exchange collapsed almost overnight. And as investigators stepped in, one question rose above all others. How could this much money simply disappear without anyone stealing it? When the court stepped in, the assumption was simple. They needed to recover the wallets, unlock the funds, and make customers whole again. But that assumption didn't last long. Court-appointed investigators began tracing the blockchain, following the digital trail of Quadriga's money, and what they found didn't match the story at all. The cold wallets were nearly empty. Many had been drained months before Gerald Cotton's death. Others never held customer funds in the first place. In some cases, deposits from new users had been used to pay withdrawals from older ones. Investigators concluded that Quadriga had been insolvent long before Gerald died, operating on borrowed time and borrowed trust. What was believed to be a tragic accident now looked like something else entirely.
Gerald, starting with you. Yes.
And suddenly, the question was no longer where is the money?
With Bitcoin, you basically get rid of that large corporation. So I was really fascinated with that technology.
It was, did it ever really exist at all? With the facts laid bare, speculation rushed in to fill the silence. For some, the explanation was painfully simple. Gerald Cotton died unexpectedly, and the system he built couldn't survive without him. A tragic ending, made worse by poor planning and unchecked trust. But others weren't convinced. They pointed to the timing, the missing funds, and the fact that much of the money had already moved long before he ever boarded that flight. They also noted that Gerald had used aliases in the past, that he understood privacy. That idea that he might still be alive spread quickly. But it's important to be clear. There is no proof Gerald Cotton faked his death. There is no confirmed sightings and no recovered funds. Just suspicion.
And along with his death, the problem here is also access to his laptop, and that laptop contains $250 million.
Fueled by coincidence, loss, and unanswered questions.
Thousands of potential Canadian accounts there, and they all might be gone for good.
And then another theory emerged. Quieter, but in many ways more unsettling. That there was never a fortune to recover. That Quadriga had been insolvent for years. That customer funds had already been spent, mismanaged, or quietly drained long before Gerald's final trip. Not a master escape plan, just a slow collapse. And in the end, there are no clear answers, no definitive conclusion, only a mystery that may never be fully solved. And in the end, speculation can only go so far. The courts ruled Gerald Cotton legally dead. No evidence has surfaced proving he's alive.
The fact that he did what he did, I carry his shame with me. And I'll carry that shame with me probably every single day for the rest of my life.
But investigators reached one unavoidable conclusion. Quadriga was built on trust, not safeguards. Customer funds were mismanaged, records were incomplete, and the exchange was functionally insolvent long before Gerald's death.
People were literally showing up at Jerry's house with duffel bags full of money.
Whether he was reckless, overwhelmed, or knowingly deceptive, the outcome was the same. Hundreds of millions vanished, and tens of thousands were left with nothing.
Cotton was operating Quadriga like a Ponzi scheme.
Not stolen in a dramatic heist, but lost quietly.
And not only that, but then when you take a closer look, you realize that he actually spent most of it and gambled it away.
Inside his system depended on one man, never making a mistake.
Amongst my friends and family who I recommended Quadriga to, if you were to add up all of their losses, it would be well into the 7 figures.
In cryptocurrency, there's a saying, not your keys, not your coins. In the case of Quadriga, no one had the keys at all. The story of Gerald Cotton isn't just about crypto. It's about trust, centralization disguised as innovation, and what happens when belief replaces verification. And if those passwords were never truly lost, then $250 million may still be sitting somewhere in silence, waiting for the right hands to find it. Whether Gerald was a fraud, a failure, or something in between, the system he built was destined to collapse. Because when one person holds everything, the risk isn't if something goes wrong, it's when.
But one of the hardest parts about Bitcoin was acquiring the Bitcoin.